Welcome back to Backward Point. This is episode 12. My name is Bashar, your co-host. And with me from all the way in Pakistan is my brother and co-host.
Nazar, how are you guys doing, guys?
So if you're not watching us on YouTube and you're wondering why I referred to that, it's because my brother right now is currently sitting in Karachi. In January, we were both in Karachi and I was there at National Stadium to revive Test cricket. And this time around, my brother was at the 5th ODI, reviving ODI cricket.
Yes. I was at the National Stadium of Karachi this past Sunday at Babar Azam's 100th ODI. Good times, good vibes. Didn't really expect Babar to go off at one, if I'm being honest. The whole crowd was there for Babar Azam. I was there for Babar Azam. I, vlogged the whole match. I'm pretty sure the reel about that is going to come out soon as well. But yeah, good experiences. I'm pretty sure we're going to talk about that. Good series, man, for Pakistan. Can't wait to dive into that as well. And then everything else in the cricketing world that's going crazy out here.
Yeah, let's get into it. I mean, Pakistan won the series 4-1, a very important series for Pakistan just before the World Cup. We're looking forward towards the World Cup in our combination and, what performances can we expect from which players, which roles have we defined and confirmed spots for. And I think this series, I hope, was a good answer for the question marks that were placed on the middle order, our bowling attack, our top three, if there was any. So finishing 4-1, we got to see, a series of good cricket being played, good character being shown by Pakistan in every department. Unluckily, we weren't able to finish 5-0 because that was sort of the condition of us finishing at number one in the rankings. We were, however, at one point at number one when we beat them 4-0. But unfortunately, it only lasted for one day. It almost felt like the time when, Misbah was captain and we were the number one test team for like a month. And then that went away.
Yeah.
So it was short-lived happiness, but happiness nonetheless.
What is the thing that you get when you become number one in test? That
Test mace.
What is it called? The mace.
It's a mace.
I remember.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember Misbah with the mace and everything. It was a whole vibe. Everybody was completely awestruck about the whole situation. Misbah carrying the mace. 1 month of pure glory, Test championship, number one, and then it all went to waste after that. It was even shorter lived here in the ODI sector of it all. Babar tried his best to make sure that the 5th ODI was secured. I mean, Iftikhar definitely tried his best. I was there seeing him single-handedly trying to make this thing go ahead. And it wasn't only Iftikhar, actually. Salman Ali Agha played a hell of a knock as well. He played his heart out. And it was just great vibes all along. I had a really good time at the National Stadium. At one point, it just felt like there was no way that we were not going to win from this. 300 seemed extremely chaseable. And then that spot at being number one for a while at least would be maintained. But where are we right now after that match? Have we dropped lower now? Are we 3 or 2?
We dropped to 3. And so I think India and Australia are above us. It would have been, a really great confidence booster going into the Asia Cup and the World Cup if you had been, up in the top 2 in the rankings. So, unfortunately that wasn't possible.
I don't know if that's happening.
Dude, that's a separate topic altogether. I think we will get into that eventually. But I think this is more interesting. Let's dive into your experience of watching a match at the National Stadium, or should I say the National Bank Cricket Arena in Karachi. The moment you walked into the stadium, you witnessed the Pakistan team at the number one ranking. It's the first time in 52 years of Pakistan's ODI history, and that too under the leadership and captaincy of Babar Azam. How was that like? The experience from getting to the stadium, getting inside, to your seats, to the view? Because I've watched a test match at National Stadium, and I was in the Hanif Muhammad enclosure, the VIP section. So if you're batting from one of the ends, it was sort of towards mid-off. And I think you were in the Javed Mirdad enclosure.
Yeah, I was in the Mirdad enclosure.
So
I was right on the mid-on.
Walk us through the whole experience.
Man, you know what? I've heard a lot of people complain about this on Twitter. People love complaining about that, about how horrible the situation is. Karachi's population does not come out to support cricket anymore the way it used to. Nobody enjoys going to matches. That's not the vibe that I got. At least when I was there, it wasn't as difficult as they said it was. I mean, I was there. I was dropped off at the gate. So, I mean, I do understand that I had a driver and you know, somebody had dropped me off at the gate. I walked a good 10 minutes in. There's a normal walk down the in front of the National Stadium. I went in through my gate. The security scanned us a couple of times. And then we were off into the stands. I mean, it took maybe 15 to 20 minutes, which is normal if you're going to any sporting event, any concerts. Even in the West, we've been to so many sporting events, so many concerts. This just usually take about 15 to 20 minutes to get in, past security, past clearances, and all that. Once we were in, it was great. I mean, the seats, we've heard a lot of bad things about seating in Karachi. It wasn't the best. I mean, we've seen games in Birmingham and in Lords as well, at Edgbaston and Lords, and obviously it was no Lords. You know, the Lords sort of the stands end. There's about a 3 foot drop, and then the boundary rope starts. This was very different. I mean, this stadium was built in the 50s or the 60s in Karachi, right? So it's built with that mindset. So it was almost like stepping into history, almost like a very old cathedral, but with that comes the drawback of having, you know, really old seats, and the stands are like amphitheaters and they go back really far and they don't go up like they're supposed to, and you're quite a far distance away from it, because the way that the Karachi stadium is built, there's stands and then it stops and there's about 50 to 60 feet of just grass. There's distance between the boundary ropes and where the stands start, so you're quite a far bit away from it. But all in all, like, I had a great time. Everybody there was nice. There was a lot of kids there, which I really enjoyed. I think it's really important for the youth to come out and support cricket, which I felt was a bit disenfranchised. People weren't really watching cricket as they used to. But the kids were really into it, man. The row in front of us was all like under 14s, like 10 to 14-year-olds. I think they came on their own. They were like yelling and hollering, and like, you know, it was just a great vibe all around. I had a immensely good time. It would have been great if Pakistan had won. I think I broke my streak of watching Pakistani cricket, and you know, the 2 games that we watched in the World Cup, they both won that. And then I went to watch this game, and you know, obviously Pakistan lost, but it was a good game. It was a close game. But I want to say one thing here. I've never seen the Pakistani crowd cheer for anyone like they do for Babar Azam. Not even Shahid Afridi.
I was going to say Shahid Afridi.
No, not even Shahid Afridi. I've seen Shahid Afridi's mayhem. I was there for T20 games, and when they were playing in Karachi, even if it was a local game, even if it was like a district game, people are insane about Shahid Afridi. But Babar Azam is completely different. Babar Azam was fielding at one point on, I think, third man, and the entire stand just came down and went right up close to the fence. And we're just hollering at him and just hooting at him and yelling at him. And he was turning around and he was like really, you know, feeling the energy of the crowd, and the crowd was feeding that energy back to him. And I haven't seen that in a very long time. Another favorite of the crowd that I saw was Iftikhar. Iftikhar Ahmed is a crowd favorite. They love chanting Chachu. Anytime he was on the boundary field,
#FTMania.
Man, Iftimania is real. People are in love with Iftikhar. And it shows, because he was there, he stood there, he delivered 94 runs not out. And just, man was there to appease the crowd, appease his fans. And that's exactly what he did.
I'm glad that you mentioned about Babar's fandom, because I wanted to talk to you about that. In the last World Cup that we watched in England, we saw there were, I think, 2 or 3 stars in the whole Pakistan team at the time. It was, you could have said Mohammad Amir, Babar Azam, and Shaheen Afridi was at the time up and coming. So to now finally see Babar getting the respect and the love and the adornment that he deserves at this stage. You know, we were talking last episode about how Babar is inspiring the next generation of Pakistani cricketers and inspiring them to become batsmen. It's always a pleasure to see, you know, Babar get the respect and love that he deserves.
100%, man. Like, Babar is definitely the star of this team. He carries this team. The popularity of the team goes, I think it goes Babar, Iftikhar, Shaheen at number 2. Number 3 is like Naseem and Shadab. That's the popularity of the team right now. So this is definitely Babar's team. He has the crowd in his control. Nobody else wants to see anyone else lead this team. The Karachi crowd is brutal. They were chanting Parchi, Parchi, Parchi when Shan Masood went in.
I'm just losing you a bit on the connection.
Did a great job in proving them right. He took his bare time to score a beautiful 6-7 runs. He took about 21. Yeah, so okay. I was talking about the hierarchy of the fans, basically. It's Babar at number 1. Nobody comes close. Number 2, I would say, is Shaheen and Iftikhar. People really love chanting their names. And then number 3 is I think Naseem and Shadab. Those are the people that the fans love to chant, love to see. And quite conversely, like the Karachi crowd is very brutal. They took their sweet time yelling Parchi Parchi at Shan Masood, and that really happened. That definitely happened, especially when Shan Masood got out.
Because there's videos out there that are saying that it was a different audio compiled to a different video, but you were in the stadiums. You can confirm that those chants were in fact for Shan Masood.
Yeah, Shan Masood was when he got out, 21 balls or 19 balls for 7 runs, abysmal innings, like one of his worst, definitely. He comes out, and as soon as he gets out, the crowd cheers because they had it with him. And as soon as he's like walking back, Parchi 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 was being screamed all over the ground. I could hear it. People on my stands were screaming it, especially because we were sitting in the VIP stands that are right next to the pavilion. It was louder there. Right? So people were definitely screaming that. He felt that. I think he felt the negative energy because, even though the crowd is far away, they make themselves known. They're loud. They're thunderous. It's very hard to ignore them. And once you're having an abysmal innings like Shan Masood was, it was just like really hard to get yourself away from that. And that walk from, the popping crease all the way down to back to the pavilion, that's a long walk. That's a good 3 minutes, man. Two or 3 minutes. And you feel it. You feel every single minute. And they were relentless. They went at it.
Man, I think it's really unfair for the crowd to be doing such things. In the past, we've seen them do the same thing for Huzul Shah, even Iftikhar at one point, which I think is unfair because these people are not looking back at the domestic performances that these players have had. Shan Masood has a 55 or 56 List A average, 1400s, a good strike rate. His List A average numbers are up there in the top 10 to 12 of players in the whole world. So he has definitely deserved his spot on the team. He's not performing at this stage at the time, which is a different discussion altogether, but to sort of demoralize him by these chants, and like you said, the Karachi crowd is relentless, they're loud, and they make their presence heard to the players. So if it is your home crowd, you expect a more positive reception.
I think the sentiment around Shan Masood was basically people just thought that Imam was more deserving. People really wanted him to be opening in the last game, which I thought was a really absurd take because who in this world is saying that Imam got dropped? The sentiment around the crowd was that
you want Imam to open.
No, the crowd wanted Imam to open. The crowd was really adamant that Imam's place is being taken away. This is a propaganda against him. And my whole idea is who's saying that Imam is dropped? Like nobody was saying that Imam is dropped. Imam sending out cryptic.
Do you know what the backstory is with Imam being dropped?
I don't know what the backstory is, but I just think Imam should be secure enough to be like, you know what? I know I am the top 3 is set. I would say the top 4 is set. They're not moving anywhere. If they're trying Shan Masood out, I am not in danger, right? And that's what I felt was lacking. And of course, if the crowd emulates the stars. If Imam is feeling insecure, the crowd is feeling insecure, and then there's animosity against Shan Masood. But what is this deal with the whole Imam dropping? I don't know.
Yeah, so here's the tea here is that after the third ODI, Imam scored 90 runs. He was man of the match. He was in the press conference. And there was a journalist who asked him a question about, should Pakistan be trying Iftikhar Ahmed? Should we be experimenting? And Imam, going out of his domain, said that he thinks that the Pakistan team should not be experimented until the World Cup. Whatever the team that is playing right now, they should continue playing with that same team. Which I thought was, it was his opinion, but again, he was not really in a position to be commenting of things that are beyond his domain. And the other news is, in the next match, he complained of having a hamstring injury. And just before the 5th match, he said he was fit, but I think at the time, they had already given Shan Masood the go-ahead of playing both matches, which was, in a way, covering for Imam's injury, but at the same time, also testing Pakistan's bench strength of, who is going to be our backup opener in the World Cup. So to give Shan Masood a couple of games meant that we also test our bench strength. So, and then, that
I think Shan Masood had a good 4th ODI was weird.
He did, but I feel like he's still not grabbing onto the opportunities that are being presented to him. Just about watching games at the National Stadium, I watched the second test match between Pakistan and New Zealand, and Shan Masood was batting at the time. and he played this ridiculous shot to get out. And I don't know why he played that shot, because Pakistan was at a point where, are they going to chase a score? Are they going to draw the match? Are they going to lose? And for him to, bottle these opportunities that are countlessly being presented to him on the basis of his performances in domestic and county, I think is abysmal. I think he is a better player than what his ODI numbers are stating. So yeah, I just hope he comes back harder.
I mean, he's the captain of some county team, Derbyshire, I believe.
Yeah.
He's set. Like, there's nothing worrying me about Shan Masood. But I do agree that he really finds a way to really squander these opportunities that are presented to him. And I'm just like, how do you do that, buddy? Like, how are you so confidently being dumped like this? But, it's whatever.
Yeah. Speaking of Babar's, fandom and the craze that people have of him, I mean, why not? He had a record-breaking series, the fastest player in the history of ODI cricket to 5,000 ODI runs, crushing the record of Hashim Amla and Virat Kohli, the fastest player to 18 ODI hundreds. And you also witnessed his 100th ODI, which I think was very sad. There was somebody in our DMs telling us that since the day of Babar's debut, it's been 8 years, or close to, more or less, and he has only played 100 ODIs in the last 8 years, which is abysmal compared to what players like Virat Kohli or AB de Villiers have played in their first 8 years. So it's just disappointing for me because Babar right now is in the prime form of ODI cricket, and he's not getting as many matches as he should. He is the number one ranked ODI player for the last 1 or 2 years, and there is a significant gap between him and Rossi van der Dussen, who has that number 2. So I just hope he gets more ODI matches and he can continue to score.
I also think that there's a big reason why he didn't play as many ODIs is because he was playing too many T20s. Like, check the first 8 years of ABD and Virat Kohli's T20 games, and you'll see that it's a complete opposite. He had 2 or 3 T20 World Cups in the meantime that he was playing. 2 he was captaining. Because of that, there was more focus on T20s. Teams were coming over just playing 5 T20s on the trot. So I mean, there are reasons why he hasn't played enough ODIs, but I feel like those gaps will be filled the next 2 to 3 years because you're getting Champions Trophy years, you're getting World Cup years. You're going to be seeing him play a lot more ODIs in the next 2 to 3 years for sure.
This might not be as in line to what we're talking about, but I think ever since this ODI series started, because of the influx of T20s and all the leagues in the world, I was having a difficult time in watching ODI cricket at the beginning, like following ball to ball. It takes about 7 to 8 hours to get through one ODI match, it could be a significant chunk of your day. And people talk about having Test cricket endangered the format, but I believe if anything, the ODI format might be more in danger. It is a World Cup year, which is why we're seeing more ODI cricket, but the future of ODI cricket, I think we talked about this in one of our previous podcasts under Vaguely Familiar, but ODI cricket to me is still in danger. Test cricket will, I think, continue to thrive because of India, Australia, and England. But ODI cricket, I'm not sure how much patience people have. They want to even trim down the T20 game to 10 overs.
I'm going to be honest, like the 15 to 35 overs, those overs in the middle, they're a slog, man. They're a slog. It's really tough to get through them. I mean, I enjoyed them because I like seeing innings being built and then, people accelerating. That's how you test the patience of a great batsman, of a great bowler, of a great captain even. But I'm going to be honest, the 15 to 35 overs becomes a real slog because the first 15 are interesting. Ball swinging, something's happening, you get early wickets, people are consolidating. 15 to 35, they're just 4 or 5 and over. It becomes tiresome to watch. And then 35 onwards, you could get the third power play and people start hitting again. They're trying to chase the big scores. The crowd in Karachi actually didn't really show up until Pakistan batted. After the sun went down innings. And the night started to cool down a bit, that's when you saw the crowd come in. The first innings, I would say the stadium was about 20% full, and then after the sun went down, Pakistan took the bat. It was about 60, 67, 70% full. So, I mean, it just goes to show people are like, I was texting a friend who I was supposed to meet at the game, and I was there at 3:30, 3:35. It was right after the toss, when the players took the bat. I think I missed the first 4 or 5 overs. That's it. I watched the whole game straight up. He came at the 3rd over of Pakistan's batting. So that just goes to show the common people are they take their time. They can commit to the last 4 overs of the night, but I don't know. That's why I was actually talking to my friend about how maybe if they start the games even later, 3:30 is like it's too early. Start at 5, go up to 1. Like people stay up. Karachi is up till 1 or 2 a.m. anyway, so like why not take advantage of that? But that's a conversation for a different time, I guess.
Yeah, City of Lights never sleeps, or they don't let people sleep.
Definitely.
I wanted to talk more about, because we went into this series with a lot of unanswered questions. Who was going to be our middle order, number 4, 5, 6? We were discussing that we would want to see Haris Sohail in the middle order as someone who's a lefty batsman who has experience of playing past World Cups. And he's a curious case because he disappears and reappears before World Cups. And then my man got so unlucky. He got injured the day before the first ODI, shoulder injury, which, fortunately was a gateway for Iftikhar Ahmed to come back in the team, who, looking at his List A stats, it is a no-brainer to have Iftikhar Ahmed in your ODI team. I was screaming my lungs out for the past, few weeks of having this guy back in the team. And thanks to Haris Sohail, he got his way in. There were also doubts about, who was going to play 4, 5, 6. Initially, we saw, Pakistan try Shan Masood at number 4, Abdullah Shafiq at number 4, which to me doesn't make sense. I like to see players bat at their positions. You wouldn't want to be seeing Babar Azam bat at number 5, do we? He's a specialist number 3 batsman. Let's have him play at number 3. Let's have him play at where he's been playing all of his domestic career. So that flopped. And then I think before the 4th ODI, there was a press conference between Rizwan. And he had expressed that he wanted to bat at number 4. And then his number changed to number 5 to number 4. And then Agha Salman got promoted to number 5. And Iftikhar made his team at number 6. So I think this is a good, stable middle order. Going into the World Cup, number 5 is a place where I think Salman Ali Agha, he really excels in playing spinners. He's a really good player of spin, I have to admit. I have a bit of question marks on his ability to place fast bowling and to accelerate as one may need to at number 5. But Iftikhar Ahmed, man, you witnessed his first ODI 50. He scored 94. A lot of people would argue that he deserved a century at that match, but going into the World Cup, I think our middle order or our top 6 right now is pretty much fixed. I would have ideally liked to see a left-handed batsman in the middle order, just given the fact that a lot of teams in the World Cup will be going in with a leg spinner or a left arm spinner. So to have a lefty in there would be very beneficial. Agha Salman, however, has impressed me a lot. Iftikhar, we already knew, had incredible ability and potential. It was a no-brainer for him to not be in the middle order. What are your thoughts on our top 6? Do you think this is something that like a top 6 that is locked in for the World Cup?
Yeah, the World Cup's happening in India, and I think these batters are great with spin. They really know how to navigate the middle orders. The way that Salman Ali Agha and Iftikhar really built the innings in the 5th ODI, I loved it. They went for 100 in partnership. They were there for till the end. They were stretching the game out. They try to take it out deep as much as possible. That's what you expect from a middle order. They can handle a collapse. They're going to be in India. The ball's going to turn and grip a lot. They're slower pitches, 280, 300 is what they're looking at usually. And I feel like these guys are equipped. I'm really sold on the top 6 right now, man. I don't know. I don't need a Haris Sohail anymore. I think the World Cup cameos that he makes, they were fun when we needed him. But I don't think that's quite necessary anymore. If you have Iftikhar, who also gives us a really good bowling option, Salman Ali Agha and Iftikhar both bowled in the ODI series, and they were good. And you can, use them as you'd like, as Babar would like. And the whole argument about having a left-hander in the middle,
Lefty.
I think 2 lefty openers are good, and if one of them just sticks along, anchors the innings, you'll see them carry out through them. Both Fakhr and Imam have that capacity, so I think it's fine. I don't think there's anything to be worried about with that.
The one thing that I'm still not fully kind of confident on is our lower middle order. So batters that are coming in at number 7 and 8. So right now, I think the idea is Shadab and Nawaz being the accelerators, the all-rounders at number 7 and 8. Nawaz unfortunately picked up a finger injury after the first ODI, which because of that, we weren't able to see more of him. I'm not sure the extent of how serious his injury is, but we might need Imad Wasim in as a backup for Mohammad Nawaz if that continues to be a big issue. But I just haven't seen Shadab and Nawaz perform with the bat as they should have in ODI so far. So that's a very fragile lower middle order. And even the fifth one day, which you went to watch, Bichara Iftikhar, he was left stranded at 94. Like nobody was there to support him. They were just coming in, playing their shots when ideally they should have just given him strike and let him hit. Wasim Jr., I don't know why he is still called an all-rounder. I am yet to see any significant impact from him in terms of batting in any form of cricket. So I'm somewhat convinced about our lower order having that depth where you might need to chase down a big score of 300, 330. That is my only concern right now.
I agree with you. I think the way that Shadab and Wasim Jr.'s innings ended was abysmal. That was completely shocking to me. Shadab has been a no-show for some reason for the past couple of years, especially in ODIs. He shows up every now and then in T20s, but in ODIs, there's nothing there to prove that he is capable of finishing innings off. Oh, but you can pull up his PSL stats and he'll have multiple 50s there coming in at like the 13th or 14th over. So I don't understand. I don't understand what's going on, what kind of confidence backing he needs. He's a great player, apparently, because I haven't seen it yet. That's why I always have a question mark. He's a great bowler. Like nobody's judging his bowling expertise, but every time he steps into bat, it just seems a little bit shaky, a little bit scared, not confident. I don't know what's going on. If the definitely deserve a century there.
Speaking of Shadab, he had one bad ODI game, that too in Pindi, where everybody has a bad ODI game, and people were messaging me personally, and they were like, "Yo, I think Shadab might be done. We should now persist with Osama Mir." I'm like, "Bro, Shadab is world class. I don't know how after one bad game we are." Putting the label on him that he's finished or, his history. Shadab is your future. He is your past. He is your present. And we should, persist with this guy, man. Because I don't see any possible playing 11 where you can have both Shadab and Osama Mir play in a World Cup match, just thinking back of games in the past where we have played two leg spinners. I think in the 1992 World Cup, we saw Iqbal Sikandar and Mushtaq Ahmed play together. And then 2015 World Cup against India, we saw Shahid Afridi and Yasir Shah play. Both were not good outcomes for Pakistan. So I think going forward, we need to persist with one. I'm happy to have Osama Mir on the bench, but Shadab needs to be your first line spinner that we go with.
100%. I mean, nobody's judging the expertise of Shadab the spinner. He's world class. There's no doubt about that. Or Shadab the fielder. He was great in Karachi 5th ODI, by the way. He was jumping everywhere. He was stopping those singles, making those doubles turn into ones. Like, it was just great seeing him in the field and in the pitch. It's just something's up with his batting. He's not really able to translate the confidence he has while bowling in his batting. And it's quite evident because, like you said, Iftikhar deserved a century there. And if either Wasim Jr., who, by the way, is one of the reasons we lost the T20 series, if him just made a little bit more of an adult decision. And same thing with Shadab. If we just decided to stay there a little bit longer, we could have seen a really good and well-deserved century from Iftikhar Ahmed. But yeah, the lower middle order is a little bit of a stressful situation. I'm hoping that they can ease out these creases in the next maybe upcoming Afghanistan tour if that happens, or the Asia Cup if that happens, or if the World Cup if that happens.
So all three events you mentioned, if that happens. Oh my God, we're living in strange times. And yeah, back to the extent of Nawaz's injury. I saw his finger, man. It was like bent, like it was bent altogether. So apparently there's no fracture, but there's a dent there, and it is his bowling finger. So I'm not sure if it is a time to bring back Imad Wasim. But some people are like, we can play Imad Wasim with Nawaz at number 6, but I don't trust Imad's batting as much to be playing him in the top 6. You need to go with 6 specialist batters in ODIs at least.
I mean, Imad's on a roll, if I'm being honest, isn't he? Like, he's been, ever since the PSL, he's had a great PSL, and then he had a good Afghanistan series, and he's just like, he's trying to prove himself, and it's working out. And I'm at this position, at this point in my life where I'm like, you know what? If Imad wants to be in the ODI team and the opportunity is presenting himself, Bismillah, brother.
Okay. Let's go towards our bowling attack. Shaheen played all 5 games of the T20Is. He played all 5 games of the ODIs. his pace, like we spoke in the last podcast, is a bit varying. He's not really up there at the 145 clicks as he was pre-injury. But we obviously understand that he's coming back after injury, and his line length, his pace might not be as to where it is. And we're hoping that these games that have just gone past are going to help him achieve the level of rhythm and practice that he needs to be World Cup ready. You saw him bowl live. How was it like to see one of Pakistan's upcoming bowlers in full flow?
Man, I still think the spell that we saw in Birmingham and Edgbaston from him was insane. It was crazy. That same vigor, that same fire was absent in the Karachi game that I saw, the fifth ODI. It wasn't there. The clicks were at 135, 137, 139. That's where he was touching. I think a couple of balls.
And you could see that on the big screen, right?
Yeah, we could see that on the big screen, as well as just the you know who was really quick? And this is like a non-statement because everybody knows. Haris Rauf, man. You could hear the keeper's glove his ball right near the 30-yard circle in clarity. That's how quick that guy is. And once there was a few bouncers that went over like Young's head and like off the shoulder, and that felt like serious pace. It felt like Shir Bakhtar was back in the ground. You felt that atmosphere build up. Shaheen is turning more into a medium fast right now. His ball is swinging. He was definitely giving the batsman something to worry about, but at the same time, his threatening maneuvers aren't. I mean, there's not a lot you could do with 135. I mean, we got a lot of flack from the Arjun Tendulkar TikTok that went viral, but it's this criticism is fair for Shaheen as well. The only difference between Arjun and Shaheen is that Shaheen can swing the ball wherever way he likes, so that he's lethal even at 135, 137. When it comes coming back, man, you don't know what to do. So I think Shaheen, it was good to see him back. It was important to see him play these games. I actually enjoyed the fact that they sat down Naseem, even though he seemed a little bit annoyed. Him and Ahsanullah were playing catch or fielding practices during the 50 over break, and actually the ball almost hit Uruj and Mark Butcher, who were doing the pit side reports, and that was the whole thing. Uruj got really pissed off, started yelling at Ahsanullah got scared, took the ball away and everything. So I mean, Naseem is he's annoyed that he's that guy right now, and I get it. Like he's star quality as well. So I'm very hesitant to saying that Naseem is also sidelined, but when the playing 11 is on the field in the next series or in the World Cup, you'll see Naseem there, you'll see Shaheen there, and you'll see Haris Rauf there, and I think that trio is deadly. It's insanely deadly.
Yeah. You spoke about Naseem Shah. He was so impressive in this, in all the games that he played in this ODIs. His length bowling was so good. He was moving the ball with the new ball. He was brilliant in the death overs. His pace was up there. And Naseem, I think he's turning out to be an even better ODI bowler than he is in T20Is and Test matches.
Yeah.
So, and he's so young. Like, our bowling attack is so young. They're only going to get better from here, which is very exciting for me. So I agree. Our bowling is pretty much set in stone. Shaheen, Naseem, and Haris Rauf. And then we have Wasim Jr. as a backup bowler.
I think Wasim Jr. is extremely overrated. That's my hot take of the day. I think Wasim Jr.
Honestly,
is extremely overrated as a bowler. The only reason he gets wickets, and this is the consensus that was in my stands as well, people were talking about it. I was, doing a lot of people watching, a lot of eavesdropping, and the consensus was the only reason Wasim Jr. takes wickets is because the batsmen think he's inferior and they take him on.
Okay, that's disrespectful to him, but I feel like he's very wayward. Like, he is sometimes bowling really good, sometimes bowling really bad. His line and length is not as accurate as it should be at this level. And then if also he is calling himself an all-rounder, I'm yet to see those numbers translate in his batting. So Babar, I don't know why he's persisting with him so much, but at the same time, we don't have many more options to try on. Like Ahsanullah, I feel like is very, very young. He's too raw to be pushed towards big tournaments like the Asia Cup or the World Cup. Yeah, I think maybe one or two pacers that we can still try out.
I call myself a writer, but where's the novel? Like it's not there. So I should stop doing that. At the same time, mentioning Ahsanullah, horrible fielder, by the way. Fielding practice was going on. This man did not catch one ball, and we recorded the whole thing. Like, this guy was diving here and there, simple catches. This guy was popping out. I'm like, bro, I really wish Uruj would smack him. I was ready for that because I'm like, he's wearing Pakistani colors and literally dollies. they're serving him dollies. He's not able to catch any single one of them. It was just quite annoying to see. But yeah, the consensus is Asanullah, extremely raw, horrible fielder. Get back in the field, boy. Catch some balls.
The other question is, just looking towards the big tournaments that are coming up, the Asia Cup and the World Cup, and looking at Pakistan's 15 or 20-man squad that they may pick, are we at some point lacking a mystery spinner in the shape of Abrar Ahmed? Like, I think it may be too late to introduce him now, but maybe like 6 months or 1 year back, we should have had some sort of a surprise option. The World Cup is in India. The last World Cup, ODI World Cup, we did have bowlers like, Saeed Ajmal who had a Dusra. Abrar Ahmed is still very new. People may not pick him at this level and early on in his career. Or do you have any thoughts regarding that?
I think Babar Azam should start being trained for the next T20 World Cup next year. I think that's the perfect way for him to start. I think this World Cup it's too early for him. I agree. I think Babar already had a plan for this World Cup, and he's ready to execute it. And I want to see that plan be executed in full. Like, I don't want to see anything meddled with it. I think he has his 11 booked in his mind. He has his 15 set up in his mind as well. Barring injuries here and there, I think that's pretty much the team we're going to see. Abrar Ahmed, I think, is ready for the next World Cup in the T20s as well. I think it's in the USA and West Indies, another place where ball spins a lot, grips a lot. So get him ready for that. But yeah, leave the T20, leave the ODI World Cup alone. I think that team's settled.
Okay, I just lost you towards the end regarding what you were saying, but what I understood was that you mentioned to groom Abrar Ahmed for the next World Cup that's coming, right? The next
Correct.
World
Yeah,
Cup
I'm sorry. Storm Fiber in Karachi, it's not it.
Yep, no worries. We understand. So can we say that we are very close to finalizing our World Cup 11? And if I name the 11 that I think, you can mention if you agree or disagree with that 11. Would that be okay?
Yeah, I think we're not close. I think the 11 is locked in, but go ahead.
It's locked in. Okay, so Fakhr, Imam, Babar, players that are, the backbone of our batting lineup, and then who are in the top 5 of the ICC ODI ranking. So Fakhr, Imam, Babar, number 4 Rizwan, number 5 Salman Ali Agha, number 6 Iftikhar Ahmed, number 7 Shadab Khan, number 8 Mohammad Nawaz, number 9 Shaheen Afridi, number 10 Haris Rauf, number 11 Naseem Shah.
Yeah, so you can move Nawaz in for Imad and those little subtle changes, like for like players, but that's pretty much it. Yeah, that's the 11.
Okay, and then if you were to make a 15, I would have Osama Mir as a backup leg spinner. I would have there's one team that I want, and there's one team that the Pakistan team will pick. So I'm going by the team that they will pick. So Osama Mir as a backup leg spinner, Shan Masood as a backup opener, Mohammad Haris as a backup keeper, and then Mohammad Wasim as a backup pacer. That's 11 plus 4. That's 15. That could be a 15-man squad for the upcoming Asia Cup and World Cup.
Who is it that you want to see, though?
Honestly speaking, I would have liked to see Khuzul Shah as a backup lower middle order batsman. We are discarding his list A performances. And the games that he has won Pakistan, the reason why we're number 1 is because we beat Australia and West Indies at home, and I think Khuzul Shah had a big part to play in a couple of those matches. He came down the order and he finished 2 matches for us, and that's what we're sort of lacking: a finisher, a left-handed batsman, somebody who can bowl part-time off spin. So I would have ideally liked to see Khuzul Shah and Iftikhar Ahmed both in our middle order. But again, I think it may be too late. I would have also liked to see Abrar Ahmed being groomed in. And maybe, just maybe, and I might get hate for this, maybe Hassan Ali as our backup seamer, somebody who has some experience and who has played some big matches for Pakistan. Okay. If somebody does get an injury from our from our pace trio, Hassan Ali would not be a bad bowling option to have being brought back into the 11. Somebody who can take pressure, ball good line length, and a decent batsman.
You know what? I will agree with the Hassan Ali hot take there. I don't think it's crazy to say that. Hassan Ali always finds his way back in the squad. He's a hard worker. He really, grinds it up in the domestic league. So maybe Hassan Ali back in the squad wouldn't be that bad. But like I said, I think the 15 that you named first is probably locked in. That's the 15 that they should go with. That's a solid 15. I think that's a World Cup winning 15, if I'm being honest with you.
Yep. Hopefully. I just wanted to also touch base on, You mentioned if the Asia Cup happens, if the Afghanistan series happens, if the World Cup happens, and if Pakistan goes to those events, what is with all this drama that's happening? There's lots of news that is coming out of these meetings that are happening. News such as India not coming to Pakistan with the Asia Cup. News such as India is instead convincing all the other teams to play a 5-nation tournament in India or even Sri Lanka, where Pakistan would be excluded. And news such as if India doesn't come to Pakistan for the Asia Cup, Pakistan may not go to India for the World Cup. This is big news. This is disappointing. And again, seeing politics make its way to seep through cricket.
It's absolutely tragic, man. Speaking of that, I also wanted to talk a little bit about the Imran Khan arrest. I think that's also extremely tragic. What's going on internally in the country, then externally in just the cricket politics. I mean, the answer is in the reports that got shared today. I think we shared it on our social medias as well. 38% of the ICC revenue goes to the BCCI, right?
There is no big three anymore.
There is no big three anymore. It's just BCCI, and it's the rest of the world. So they have a lot of sway. They have a lot of power. They have a lot of command, a lot of money, obviously. So of course, wherever the money goes, these boards are inherently not rich. They're very dependent on the ICC, and they're very dependent on that kind of revenue, and they want to stay afloat. And BCCI has the power to tank them. A board like Afghanistan or a board like Bangladesh's, they're easy to get bullied around. So it's unfortunate to see that. I think it should have been tit for tat. If Pakistan plays in a neutral venue, then so should India. Our stance is very clear on that. We think this whole politics in cricket is bullshit. If anything, the situation between the two countries has been worse in history before, and they've still played cricket. They went to war in 1999, and the 2004 series happened. 2005, 2006, 2007, 2000, 4 straight years you played them, and they played us in our home country. So I don't know. Is war less important than whatever they're claiming is happening now? I don't know. I think it's quite juvenile. These situations should be handled behind back doors between diplomats and politicians, not between cricket captains who just want to play the game. So that's my opinion on that. I do hope that Pakistan does go and play the Asia Cup, and I do hope, goes to play the World Cup, and I do hope that India comes and plays the Asia Cup, because we were just talking in the stands, and everybody was talking about how the Karachi crowd inherently has been quite abysmal, hasn't really showed up, has been quite hesitant to come out. But the one consensus that I heard everybody talk about was, if Virat Kohli is in the National Stadium of Karachi, there'll be lineups outside. There'll be people climbing the walls and sitting up at the roofs trying to watch Virat play, because Virat Kohli is that kind of a magnanimous player. Without Virat, there is no Babar. Without Babar, there is no return to Pakistan cricket. So people just want to watch. People had the pleasure to see Tendulkar play in Karachi, in Peshawar, in Multan. And people just want the same thing with Rohit Sharma and Virat Kohli. That's the vibe that I was getting from the public in Karachi.
That's very well said. There's also, I just saw some news coming out of Crickbus today that the Pakistan versus India game will be held in Chennai for the World Cup. October 15th is the date that they announced would be the match, which also happens to be Babar Azam's birthday. And the first game of the World Cup will be a rematch of the last finalists, which are going to be England and New Zealand. So such news for the World Cup is starting to come in. And, if Pakistan goes to India, for people to see Babar Azam bat would be incredible for the Indian people. And similarly for Virat Kohli to be batting in India, in Pakistan, would also be a great scene. Yeah, so Crickbuzz announced that they have some inside news regarding the World Cup schedule. The first match is going to be the rematch of the last World Cup final, so England versus New Zealand, and then the India versus Pakistan match will be held on October 15th in Chennai, which also happens to be Babar Azam's birthday. This is, again, I'm quoting news from Crickbuzz, and the final is going to be at the Narendra Modi Stadium, I think sometime in November. So these news of the World Cup is starting to come out, which is exciting. And I second whatever you said about the politics and in the India and Pakistan, and how they should be navigating their way better in these situations. towards just the last end of this podcast, I wanted to quickly talk about our reel that went viral, the Arjun Tendulkar one. And on Friday, we saw a comment on our reel from Yuvraj Singh mentioning that it's easier to talk cricket than to play it. And that was just a surreal moment that Yuvraj Singh knows that we exist, that this podcast is going. I messaged you about this and we were both freaking out. So despite all the hate that we got on that reel, there was also these positives to take from. And we hope that we can continue to make such content.
I think we're going to have to cut off the episode. Karachi problems. The geezer's broken. It's flooding the whole floor. So I'm gonna take an exit here. If there's any finishing thoughts, go ahead with it. And then.
No, finishing thoughts. No, this has been tough to record, given the Canada versus
probably one of the most chaotic episodes that we've ever done.
Absolutely, but it's important that we get it done. People I know are out there waiting for this episode, and we want to stay consistent with what we're doing. Thanks again for joining. With all the chaos and uncertainty in the country, we appreciate you going to the 5th ODI, watching for us, and sharing your experience. If you're watching us on YouTube, subscribe, comment, engage, and if you're listening to us on any of the audio platforms, it helps to give us a rating on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. You're listening to Backward Point. This is your co-host Bashar signing off, and with me on the other side of the world is
Nazar Sayed, and I'll be back here next week. Don't worry, the chaos will not stop us from presenting and podding for everyone that loves us. So see you guys next week. Cheers.
Take care. Bye.